to this channel. Welcome back to this weekly Spark of Knowledge, the Spark of Knowledge that has been made possible by the Statumentis Academy. And if you want to know more about peak performance, you really want to be able to coach yourself towards that peak performance zone, really when you want it the most, take a look at our website, statumentis.com, or if you're a trainer or coach and you notice that some of your players on your team or your team in general is suffering from that performance gap, they're just better in training than in competition. Check our academy on our website. There are tons of courses, articles, videos to really give your knowledge when it comes to peak performance, human behavior under stress, you know, in general, a good zest. And I think that's a good way to kind of go about it, especially in these challenging times. You know, let's focus on everything we can do and we really can give our knowledge a good zest. So check out our academy on our website, statumentis.com. Well, already talked enough. These are sparks of knowledge. I only got 10 minutes, so let's get started. Let's dive right into today's spark, because we got a special spark here because somebody, I think it's somebody that I'm connected on LinkedIn, sent me an email, and this is a coach in a professional soccer league. Send me an email with a question. And it's a question that I actually get a lot, so I thought it's a good idea to throw this question in this spark of knowledge, because you know, when we're all talking about it, we're all creating the solution, we can all learn from it. So I thought, let's share it. And quickly I want to remind you, if you got a question for me when it comes to peak performance, whether you're an athlete, a coach, a trainer, or just somebody, you know, yourself that notice that you're really not able to reach your full potential, you're just stuck in life, you don't know how to get out of it, you can always email me your question, and I will be able to answer it in this spark of knowledge. I will keep it absolutely anonymous, but you get your answer in this spark. You can send me your question at annemieke@statumentis.com, and you know, maybe I will answer your question in the next spark. Having all that said, the question that this coach had for me, he had this player, still a young player. It's a player that this soccer club had from, it was kind of coming out of their own youth academy, was now playing in the first team, made a transition. And this player, and this was a behavioral pattern that has been observed, you know, a lot with this particular player. This player was really suffering from the performance gap. And what does that mean? It means that this player was really significantly better in training, even in pre-season, than he was in competition. He started off competition decently, but you know, that performance decline kicked in, and the type of play, the behavior that this trainer observed was really panicky behavior. So this player, this was a defender, showed panicky behavior, you know, very uncontrolled in duels, very hesitant to walk with the ball, very hesitant to really press forward. You saw kind of like the type of play, a lot backwards play, a lot to the side, and that was not like what this trainer gave this player as task, because this trainer coach really kind of like filled this player with the task. Okay, press forward, try to connect, you know, the back to the middle to the front, keep that pressure going, you know, try to walk with the ball, try to play a long pass, don't be afraid, just keep that pressure forward, you know, go into duels, be intense. That was just the type of play, and also how they train. And in training, this player was very well, you know, very equipped to show this type of play. And then he came into the match and just, you know, nothing of the task that this player has gotten was kind of like visible. It was just uncontrolled. It was like very intense, weird balls, you know, totally not in control of this player. And it was just weird. And this trainer was baffled by it, because he said, like, you know, I can just not see where that is coming from, because we talk about it. I can see in training that this player has the skills, you know, to execute the task that I ask him to do, you know, by far. So what is happening here? And more important, what can I do about it? So what is happening here? Well, to answer that question, we really have to go back to that relationship that exists, because yes, there is a relationship between stress, arousal, and performance. And what that relationship looks like, we're going to see a model, and I will put that in this spark right here. What this model shows us is that, there is a relationship between stress, arousal, and performance. And even more important, it shows us that we need a decent amount of arousal, a decent amount of stress to hit our peak performance zone. And that is sometimes already a misunderstanding, because when you ask, just generally players, athletes, coaches, trainers, like, when it comes to stress and performance, many of them think you don't need any stress. Stress is not good in general to peak perform. None of that, or you need very little. Well, this model shows that we need a decent amount of stress and arousal to be able to peak perform. We need to be motivated, we need to be alert, we need to be awake. So, experiencing stress, experiencing arousal, it's not a bad thing. It's needed. So that's point one that this model shows us. The other thing that this model shows us, which is the Jerk-Dodson law, it shows us that the performance gap can be due to two reasons. We can be on the left side of the peak performance zone, which is in the middle of the curve, or on the right side. So we can have too little arousal to peak perform, or we can have too much of arousal to peak perform. And whether we are on the left side and the under arousal side or on the over arousal side, it all depends on the behavior that we observe. So you have to know, like, okay, which behavior goes where. Is this an under aroused player or is this an over aroused player? Well, you have to know that when it comes to over arousal, and most performance gaps are due by experiencing too much arousal, and you can observe that by panicky behavior, by anxiety. And what do we do when we get anxious? We start to avoid situations. That's just our evolutionary response. We want to persevere what we got. So you see avoidant behavior. And when it comes to soccer, avoidant behavior is playing the safe ball over the best ball. So you see that ball to the side or backwards. It's avoidant, it's panicky. It are the players that have high tension in the muscles, so they always have those little pains here and there, without really any explanations. It are the players that are highly intense in their reactions, very uncontrolled, easily frustrated, easily just over emotional. Those are all behaviors that go with over arousal. With under arousal, you see more the sloppy mistakes. You see more like, oh, it's a little too late. The players that really need that time to grow into their competition. But this type, the story that the trainer described me is clearly this player is suffering from too much arousal. So you have to know that, because then you can place the right intervention. If you know, okay, we have to take arousal away because this player is suffering from over arousal. So what can you do? Well, I've included the next model that will tell you more about that right here. You can see when it comes to taking arousal, taking stress away, we have to make the task that we give our player more simple, more concrete. Why? When we come under stress, our information system gets delayed. What does that mean? It means that the time that it takes from the task, the information that we put into our mind to travel to our muscle to get executed in an action, it gets delayed. It takes more time. So you can imagine the more tasks that you give yourself, or the more complex tasks that you give yourself, the more delay you will get. So then you see really those actions that are not fluent, have a very bad timing, or uncontrolled. So when you're under stress and you're suffering from too much stress, not more than 2-3 tasks, and keep that concrete and basic. And with that means, if your goal is like make that connection from the back to the front, like this defender, what do you need to do? You need, when you have the ball, you have to breathe out, you have to look where you're going to pass that ball and just, give that pass, or you have to keep moving or keep communicating. Those are all very concrete basic tasks that are aligned with the, your overall task that you have. You should not give such a player, ad hoc information. So if you're a coach and you see your player struggling, you think, okay, I'll throw some information at this player. It's not a good way to go, because this player is already suffering from, over arousal, too much stress. So it's like, trying to get a fire out with adding more fire, So take your time when you got information for this player in halftime or after the match, but don't throw ad hoc information towards this player, because he really will explode. And focus on effort, not on failure, Always focus on effort. and you focus on process and not the result. So take a look at those models that I've included. Got the answers there. You can move back from that over arousal zone to your peak performance zone. Again, I got only 10 minutes for the spark of knowledge. If you want to know more about this topic, go to our website. There's more about peak performance and how you can coach yourself. We got an e-course, Introduction to Peak Performance. So if you're interested in that, it's a really good way to really get your knowledge up to par on this topic, and such powerful knowledge to have. I really enjoyed making this spark. I hope all to see you next week. And if you've got a question, send me. I would love to answer it. And stay safe and have a great week.